Hi, my name's Charles, and I am one of the professors who works with the Digital Communications and Integrated Media program here at SIT. And today I'm going to be talking about equipping you for a future in digital media. In the short time that you've been alive, the world of technology has transformed in many ways. For example, if we look at mobile phone technology, this is probably like the phone that you were using or your family was using when you were born. We also see major changes that are taking place locally, regionally, and globally in terms of both technology and media consumption patterns. All of us are living in a world where we are monitored in many different ways that didn't exist when you were born. And we've got all sorts of records and data that are being collected about us that can be used to create ways of marketing things to us. And marketing is changing too. If we look at the old style of marketing with things like this, which are posters, we see that we're starting to get more interactive media being brought into this technology. So if we look closely here, we see that you're being asked to vote and participate in the ads that you see. And even when we've got a poster that's advertising something like an airplane ride somewhere in the world, you'll find out down at the bottom in small print, there's going to be a place where you can watch a video. So even when we're viewing print ads, we're seeing that we are being enticed to watch videos, like on this ad for Singapore Airlines. So even on the very old forms of marketing to us, like these posters, we're starting to have incorporated into them things like video. And all of this is creating a massive amount of data. The data that is being used to do the marketing, but also the data that is being gathered about you. And we're having to transform the way we're thinking about data for this kind of marketing, this new marketing. And we're thinking in different ways, going from thinking about terabytes and petabytes all the way up to yottabytes. So this is transforming the world in many different ways, in ways that were unimaginable when you were born. Now, we're also experiencing significant transformations in the patterns and the practices of media consumption. If you look at things like Facebook, which is now transforming into Meta, and we look at things like Amazon, which is becoming Amazon Prime and delivering movies to us, we've got different ways to consume media that didn't exist when you were born. And these, like Facebook, are continually changing. And things that used to be borders and barriers in the past are also falling. We have somebody here mentioned on this slide is John McCarthy. He's the editor with the marketing industry's website, The Drum. And he says we are now living in a post-parasite era. Now, what he's talking about here is that when we're looking at media, in the past, it used to be the US would pump out a lot of media that was based on an old way of marketing to theaters. And now we're able to consume media in different ways, and the media is not just coming from the United States, it's coming from places like Korea, where we have a film like Parasite that can then get enough popularity to win the Academy Award in the United States. And the post-Parasite era is really visible when we start looking at things like Netflix. In Netflix, we have shows that can be popular that people around the world will be watching that come from Germany, from Spain, from France, and of course, as you probably know, most recently from Korea. Netflix's biggest hit coming from Korea. Now, industry insiders are trying to get a grasp of what's going on and figuring out how they fit in the digital future. So we've got groups like MediaCore, which has to think about, oh, what are we going to do to be able to stay on top of all of these changes? Here is a quote from Singh, who is at MediaCore, who's working on their data there. And he says, data is especially important for MediaCore as it gives us a deeper understanding of what our consumers want, how they're consuming our content, as well as when and where they are consuming it. Now, once we have this information, we're able to give that to people who are trying to sell products and figure out how to tap into those consumers. So for MediaCorp and traditional broadcasters, having access to data in order to shape and market content is becoming essential for the future, with increasing competition and growing range of streaming services such as Netflix. And Netflix gives us a great example of how these services operate. So I want to just walk you through an example of how things are changing when we've got access to consumer data. And I'm going to use Netflix just kind of as a light example of how this is done. With the Netflix example, you and many other people are watching Netflix. You make choices that reflect your preferences and your interests, and then Netflix is able to gather information about you and your preference and your interests and gather it from all of the other customers. Then your behavior data is analyzed by machines, and based on this analysis, you are gently guided to the shows that you might enjoy. And then you're a happy customer and you renew your membership and you continue viewing. The Digital Communications and Integrated Media Program is set up to focus on 3 different areas that prepare you for the type of work that MediaCorp and Netflix and others are trying to get on top of to be relevant in this new era of digital media. And so we've got 3 focus areas in the Digital Communications and Integrated Media Program. One area, which is here on top, is integrated media management. Then we've got digital web analytics, and then we've got digital media production. DCIM aims to prepare you for how these intersect in a contemporary world of media practice. And again, we can think about this in terms of Netflix to understand what each of these areas are, these focus areas are. So, integrated media management would be the people who are thinking of the messaging on how to market to you, taking the data from over here and thinking about how to create messages with that data that can be geared directly to you. So then we get into the digital media production side of things. How do we make those messages that will then be marketing the things to you that we think, based on the data, you want to watch? Okay, so this is the program that we've designed, and we're focused not just on Singapore for this program. We're focused thinking about locally, which is the Singapore scale here, and we're thinking about regionally, which is the Asian context, and then we're also thinking globally, how to prepare you for being somebody who's working in this field on a global scale. And we'll be focusing on all of these things in the program. Now, our program is guided by professionals. We've talked with lots of people to develop the program in all 3 of those focus areas to figure out how we can best design courses that are going to suit you for moving forward into the future. And first and foremost, we're guided by an industry advisory committee. And the Industry Advisory Committee have some fabulous people on it, including somebody who we quoted earlier in this talk, Mr. Singh, who is the Chief Commercial and Digital Officer at MediaCorp. And the members of our faculty have gone out and talked with industry people in all areas of our specialization to try and find what we need to do to prepare the program to get you ready for the future. And my area is in media production, and I'm just going to share a sample of the people who have helped us develop the ideas for this focus area. So one of the main people helping us over the years has been Freddie Yo, who is the Chief Operating Officer over at Infinite Studios. And he's given us great feedback on everything about preparing students on the curriculum side of things, but also even in the construction of the studios that we're going to have on our new Punggol campus once it's built. So he has been fabulous supporting us here. Another really great person to work with, who I was actually just talking to today, is Suntil, who runs T8, and he is one of the main high-speed cinematographers here in Singapore. And if you've watched any Kentucky Fried Chicken commercials where 2 pieces of chicken crash into each other in slow motion, he's probably shot that. Another person who's helped out with our teaching side of things and also in our planning in terms of the equipment that we're bringing in is Mr. Derek Liu, a fabulous person working in media over here. And then the two people who run AV8 have been really good support for us. AV8 is industry insider training facility, and they also have programs for teaching people how to use the top of the line equipment. And they're not just training people here in Singapore, they're bringing people in from around Asia to come in and learn how to use the RED cameras and different things that they've got access to in AV8. A couple of other people who have helped us out is Scott Cunningham. I sat down when he was in town working on a commercial here in town, and he was able to give me some really good feedback on how to develop the curriculum for you and also what kind of cameras we should bring in for you guys to learn on so that you'll be ready for being able to move from continent to continent and be able to shoot. And then Scott Cunningham, of course, works with Dave Myers, who is an old friend of mine from the 1980s. We met back in the 1980s. And you probably know him as the director of the BTS and Coldplay My Universe music video. And Dave and I have been talking for years about this program, and he's been giving some very valuable advice on what to do. And I constantly go back to him and say, hey, Dave, does this sound like a good idea? And he'll say, no, don't do that, try this. And so I'm getting a lot of good feedback from him. So those are the types of people that are helping in the digital media production side of things. But we also have two other focus areas. And the people who are in charge of those focus areas are going and speaking to just as relevant types of people in those areas as well. And like I said, we also have this industry advisory committee that's fabulous. Now, I really quickly want to just go over how our curriculum is set up so that you can get some general ideas of how the curriculum will prepare you for the transforming media landscape. So in your first year, you will be taking some general courses here. And so these are the general courses that you would be taking. And in the general courses, you're working with students that are going to be coming from around the university. Now, let me just show you the whole first year for the general courses, what are there. Okay, so these are the general courses that you would take on your first year. Okay, now that's just one area of the curriculum. So you can see trimester 1, year 1, trimester, or year 1, trimester 2, year 1, trimester 3 right there. Then we go into these focus areas. And in the focus area of digital web analytics, these are the modules that you would be taking, okay, in the different trimesters. So once again, we go down this looking at the different trimesters going down, and you can see that the curriculum is set up to build on itself as it's going down. And then the integrated media management side of things, we've got these courses in your first trimester of the first year, and then we've got this course in the second trimester, and then we've got this course in the third trimester. And then when we go into the last focus area, which is digital media production, you would be taking 2 courses in your first trimester, and then you would be taking 2 courses in your second trimester, and then you would be taking a 3rd course in your 3rd trimester, your first year. And all of these are designed, like I said, to give you first a foundation level, and then they build on each other, okay, so that you've got skills moving into the next set of courses. So really quickly, I'll just go through the second year. The general courses would be these courses, and you'll be taking some of these with students from across the university. And then we've got under the digital web analytics sphere, we've got these modules. And then you see this going across here on year 2, trimester 3. You see that you'll be engaged in the IWSP program, the Integrated Work Studies program, and the capstone projects. Okay, so let me look at the integrated media management. These are the courses that you would be taking in your second year for integrated media management. And then under digital media production, these are the 2 courses. And you see, we wrap up digital media production with media production for marketing. So it's where you'd be producing really polished, short form work for commercial advertising. Okay, so if you look here, you see the IWSP and the capstone are spanning all the way across these 3 areas, and it's taking up all of trimester 3. And when we go into 3rd year, the first trimester, you would be continuing the capstone courses, okay, across the trimesters. And then we've got year 3, try 2, we've got the capstone project, media communications theory, and then you'd wrap things up with contemporary topics in digital communications and integrated media. So we've got students that are coming to us from a huge range of backgrounds. We've got students who are coming from psychology, early childhood education, fashion, tourism and hospitality, students that are coming from the JCs. So we welcome students from all different types of programs to come in and learn with us. And people are going to be at all different levels coming in, and we teach you how to work collaboratively so that you can all be learning together and moving yourselves forward at the level that you are at. We're eager to bring students in who have strong English communication skills and a capacity for critical thinking and thinking outside of the box, and an interest in working collaboratively and doing hands-on applied learning. So if this sounds like a program for you, please do apply. There's more information that's available on the internet that you can find out about the program. And we do hope that we will be able to equip you for a future in digital communications and integrated media.